create man. So let us create man in our image. So he created man, but it wasn't until he breathed the breath of life, man became alive. He took the rib from his side and created a partner, companion, someone to share the custodianship of this world, Eve. And again, was given the gift, the breath of life. The breath of life is not only to do our own bidding, but to do God's work. And in Psalm 150 verse 6 it says, let all things that have breath praise God. So we're thankful for our founders that we celebrate today. The gift of life that was given to them, not only were they able to compose, but to put down their thoughts and their notes and to be able to sing that breath of life, not only to preserve our cultural heritage, but to praise God. You know, today, unfortunately, there are so many difficulties that we face throughout the world where we're not using that breath of life in a positive way, and we pray for those things. So we're thankful for those that have gone in the past to help us realize this particular day, and we pray that we continue to do that in life. So be blessed today, blessed with the sharing that we have this morning, and may God's name be praised. Let us pray. Oelo mātou tua, laulava fio le tua o atinuku, o lanu, mangangane ese. Mātou poto I nei tai au fōu e whafo I atu I lau fio, le veinga le whamanu ma le whalietanga. O wai te tau mō no mea I o mātou tangata whatauwa, o no mō mua patipatia le ana lei o lau fio. O wā oeo tuna o mea le uma, wā ko fua e fōi I nei tai au fōu. Whaafitai I le lau mua nei, o risi tu whaatasi, I o kon whai o na mātou whaatawa ina nisi o mātou tamā. Sa mātou wasaina musua te tai au, ma whainga tau le tōna. Le mtaleni man mea lofa sa e tō whatuinga I o mātou loto. Ia kon whai o na mātou whaauau, ma whaauau, ia ma whamanatu I o fōi o mātou sao tau, o le mātou te tau. Ia mātou whaunga te tau o mea lofa mtaleni. Ina ia mātou whatupuina ai, le fia ma le ongogi, I tupulanga amuli o lo whaiane o mātou tua. Ina ia mātou tupu ai ma lona matau I lau fio. Sa mātou mōli mawina, I le tuanai, le ausane, le lima vai. Pei tai o nei vai tau o mātou mōli mawina, le telo mea o mātou rupu I o mātou lima. Pei tai o I titi mātou whatutu. O mātou te talo le ie, I whamausabi, pia le whamoianga lei oe, I le nei korisi tu whatasi I o mtaitai. Ia e meise au whanau le tulu o lo whawhai le reina. Wasi mun bio tu fuda moa tai au. Talo le ia moa pea le mia mai lau fio, whaawau e te ngā mue le whamia, I le mātou whainga malo, I ngā wenga o lo whengai me ngā tō, ia e mese fōi ia tuku mawhio anga o Kalesia, ia ma whengaso ai fōi o le mātou o tunuku ngā wenga whaabo le aso. Mia tō Samoa, ia vea oi o no lātou tautua, ia o moa e fōi le nei sawa le muri le tai au fōi. I inga fo I atu I lau fio o anio mātou sem whare tonu tama. Ia loko whamarau, whamai nei mātou. Ono Iesu wala toi ni te tau. Amen.
And the Fine Arts Department, I would like to welcome again Reverend Ulu. And this is Ulu, our Whaiwheau at Whanatomo CCCAS. How about a hand for Reverend Ulu and Mrs. Ulu? E matu foi se whatalofa. I le sunga le whaiwheau, ia asalele o tatou mafuta ai, o le sunga ia asalele o lo whaiwheau tatou e kalesia lea o le whapotapatonga Iesu Keriso, a Iesu I whangatongo, o CCJS, e mai se patipati mo le sunga tapiangaina. Whatalo whatafo le Presidente o le tatou kolistu whatasi Amerika Samoa, I le Tomai tai fōma ia pato, ia whapea fōi, tai Dr. Lena Scanlon, ia mai tātou umalawa mafuta mai le nei tai au, especially the students. Welcome to our 4th Annual Ethnomusicology Forum. You know, somebody called me and said, what is this big word, ethnomusicology? They're like something that belongs to the spelling bee. So I was telling them, first, look for the root word in there. And it says something about ethnicity. And I'm so happy that there are people like Kuki and Dr. Moyle who had decided that they'll spend part of their lives doing the research to maintain some of the cultural values that we have. Ethnomusicology is to go back and try to restructure not only our cultural values, but our beliefs through the whaangongos, through our music, storytelling, our legends. These are the people who will archive most of the things that we don't have today. We are at the threat of, number one, climate changing, number two, losing our language, and the culture is fading away. O le ao ngā nao nei whaamoe moe. E toi whawhangu mai ai tupulanga talavou i le whaangaioina ma le tau whino o mea sina le atunu. O le sile au wala wa mātou talano ai Student Center goals for the fine arts is to, you know, trace the history back and see where we came from. The rise and fall of music history in Samoa. Today is also a day of celebration of some of the most interesting people who not only compose music, study music, conducted music. And these are people ele iteleni lata wawaonga. One way is to tell us that these people, these were the talents from God. O mea alofa na amai ele atua. Uncle Ueta and Uncle Brownie. Ele iteleni la wawaonga. But it's amazing. I remember one time I was doing a critical analysis of Chopin's Nocturne in E-flat major. What I discovered, and this was what I was trying to find out from Paul Poesi, when I did a study of that, and I look at the hymnal, and I said, oh my gosh, Yosalani Poesi writing this kind of music? It's just interesting, and I had a hunch because I was thinking, somebody taught him, and it's a German, I may be wrong, but Umanabatoina Satrain is a German teacher because of the format and the analysis in that piece. And it's amazing. One of the stories I heard is that he will write on a piece of paper, he will wake up, see Wheeler, and say, okay, write this down and pin it, like a clothesline. But these are visions from God. And this is one of the things that we wanted to highlight. Not only those Samoan composers, but today we also pay tribute to Uncle Brownie and also Uncle Ueta. I call them uncles, and I know Sina calls them uncle too. Mariota was also asked to sing the national anthem in Washington, D.C. She also called them uncles, because these are the people we grew up with. These are the uncles who it's amazing, and we don't see this anymore. And today, we are so honored to have a panel of people who will talk about music, because music is their passion. Some of them are still working in our local churches. Sina still plays for Siona. She and I are, I play. Sometimes I'm tired, but we still go back and do that every Sunday. Julia is still working with the choir, and I'm sure Rosa is doing that. So today, I want you to take notes, pay attention, right? This is something you don't get anywhere, and I'm so happy that we have this forum. I also like to welcome some of the people from the public who are here. This is the chance for us to learn. Uncle Ueta is still alive, but he's very ill. But we're so happy that his daughter is here, So she could give us a personal look of what Dad used to do with his music. We pay tribute to our own people. And I want you to know there are Samoan composers out there, people who could do the same job that other people did, just like the Western music influence that we have and what you learn in the classroom. If you look at the program, it says, Tomai Fa'atoia'ina. Fa'atoia'ina. I'm not an old man, but Fa'atoia'ina is something, it's a term given to those wasinasina lato tautua, a term of respect, not only for those who had been in the field, but also someone in the village, an orator, who is very fluent, not only in the culture, but who could speak a good launga or give a good launga to the village. O toe'ina ua loa le lato tautua. O le silea tāua foi o tamama tutua I to tonu o tatou ainga, I to tonu o tatou alalafanga. E te taua tatou whātauaina lato tautua. And I'm sure Okinaisa will talk about the value of this in our families and in our villages. Last night I shared with the people the Samoan essence of a whangongo, right? Before the TV and everything, before you go to sleep, the old auntie in the family say, "Oh, my na whai whangongo, come over here." It's the same whangongo every night. You just change the characters. The whole idea is to make sure that everybody sleeps before the old lady will finish the whangongo. And there's something that they say, okay, make sure you say awe, right? So the old lady will say, if she'll know that you're not paying attention if you don't say awe. It's gone. Nobody tells whangongo anymore. Those are the bedtime stories. And we had those. We had it in our culture. We didn't borrow them. Saitotonu lava tato atunu'u. And that is one of the objectives for the forum. Some of you, I think, that's the past. If you don't know or understand your past, you couldn't find your future. Etele malamalama fo ilo lumanai. Peaile malamalama fo ilo fasigomama. Today, we also pay tribute to music. One of the most defining elements that allows us to express our emotions, fear, to celebrate, to protest, the power of music, to change lives. I always believe in that. There's something about music that words can't do, but music can do. Been involved with music all my life, I see the change in that. Fa'atayalo fa'awaupe tata prokalama musika itono tata kolisi. E wilava na yaini si tulanga itauna fa'alea e fa'atayalo pristene o lo lato e vaituto o tato vasenga itono tata musika. O lesi na tato manu lautin na yaso. Ya, whapena na tato o mea alo whaleli. Church music. O ainga Samoa lava tale ono pese uma whale la iasa. So, before you leave, remember, it's good to understand your past. We're threatened by so many things, social, economic terms from the federal government. And we're trying to balance things out. Tatungangana, eselmana yo tatungangana. Wa mata foina mo watu. Every Saturday, I go and do our little children's choir, because the only reason why I do that is because I want the kids in the church to speak and understand Samoan language, because I know it's not going to be here for a long time. And this is one thing that identifies us as a people. Not only our culture, our language, our music. I lo whaaloalo e tawai o te malawa tuai, I le sunga, I le whaatonu, ia o ke naisa whauolo, ia molana folasanga nei tai ao. Please welcome our keynote address, delivered by Mrs. Okinaisa Pauolo Manila.
Tau mawhauwhau lava po o lava le saunoa ngai professor ia mangeo ia e tau masina e le tātou whamoe moe whaftai tele le whonga tai au. E pa ulua le langi solo e a papa le loto tofi. Ona o tū li li ai lea ma mapu e a tā ii ni mea ane wa se sele ngangana ona to mua le o lape ai taua ina o taia le tulubau ma ofu le ngasu o le vaveau a wau pa ule vau sa wali tai sunga I whawhea ngaina au whalupenga ya se piulu whapea foi le sunga le toe ina ya astalele wala la tai matu o whaiva a o polo festa o pese ma vi inga o le loto I whale Samoa tuto o tasi whapea o te roa ai o mutia foi le malai I le whaamalo ulo mai o le tau pulenga le polisi o na o whapea lea ua tulolo na au le vau a wā Samoa poto poto. O Samoa le au mamala. Ma o a lava festo wa ingo le sami. Tō whatau tau matangi. Ua I loa lava tua sivi ma tu maunga. E toa iaia o sisina. Tulou lava. The reality of life is no one forever stays tall as a mountain. As we age, and our worldly journeys are but in view of sunset. We are reminded of that message which has been circulating on Facebook. Don't bring flowers to my grave because I do not know. Give the flowers to me now, because then I know you care. I know I'm not the right person to give the keynote address for this forum, because first and foremost, when my parents purchasing voices for their children, what was left on the shelves were the broken voices. As my father always say, second, I do not have the gift like the kin and relatives of Solomona and Tuiasosopo, even Salamo and Pulefa'asisina, and the other prominent names in Samoa's music industry, where many of them have the ear for music, compose music, read music, and sing music. I had to read Kuki Tuiasosopo's invitation 5 times to understand that I am to share on the cultural context of the given theme for this year's forum, Tomai Fatueina, honoring the legacies of 2 of the most influential musicians of our time, High Chief Pulefa'asisina, Brownie Tuiasosopo, and Susunga Ueta Matautia Solomona. To expound on this deep phrase, I recalled one of our office projects a couple of years ago, where we worked with a number of professionals in the medical field. We were to translate the human anatomy and the body system, the different body system. So on that particular Saturday over at Trade Winds, we were giving the Samoan words. Lungs, mama. Large intestine, nga autu. Small intestine, nga auta oto. Diaphragm, more polpui manava. Liver, ate poleau. As we were going through this, one of the nurses then, she said, "Fawolo, how? This is a liver." That beautiful romantic song, the love song. Do you know that song? Yes, I do. Lo uau po fea o yai, sau se I e sau tino mai. But so how? Yeah. Well, yes, that's the richness of our culture, because there's no way you're going to say, Lo uate po fea o yai. As an itty-bitty translator, it is always a challenge to come up with the essence of a given phrase, because you go through the process of decoding, and then hopefully you can encode it and come out with the appropriate translation. But in any given culture, what you are familiar with, what you value, are an integral part of your way of life. You have many words to describe it. The phrase tō whā whatueina can also be expressed tō whā mamau, tō whā manino, tō whā totoa, whautanga loloto, whautanga mau, anga waa whapitoa, whapolopolo a matua, moe mana tunatu, matua alofa, ole sili anga. So to try and translate in English, Tomai whatueina, it can only be proficiency of an elder. And proficiency is achieved when the person is knowledgeable, experienced, gifted, and skillful. Aging and timing has a role in building the experience and the expertise of the individual. And to top it all off, this proficiency is a gift from our Almighty God. Thus, to be addressed as an elder is an earned status given only to those who have vast knowledge, solid reputation in their field of expertise. Lau susunga I le toeaina. And to be labeled as a toeaina who has tomai tamai anga va'apoto, then that is acknowledgement of the gift you are blessed with. The tōwhawha tueina is also engraved in Samoa oratory language and are depicted in our oratory tools, such as the to'oto'o, the staff, fuelaunga, orator's insignia. So when you hear chiefs talking and referring to to'oto'oli, please note that it's not just because of how ancient the title is in regards to the salutation, but also the rank, position of the title in either the village or Samoa as a whole. The Tulafale of status is aware of these oratory tools, that they must be well kept and protected, for these upenga launga are family heirlooms. They must be passed on to the next generation. It is amazing to see a staff of aging. The color darkened through time. But when reference is made as totosina or to'oto'o-sina-sina, it means then that you are a young talking chief. With fuena'aunga, or the orator's insignia, the concept is reversed, where the fuesina-sina symbolizes antique, rarity, and unique. So while the staff is dark, the spiritual flapper is white, just like the keyboard piano. And how true is John Lennon's song, Ebony and Ivory. What I have here with me is a fuesina-sina, and it actually belongs to my great-grandfather. So just to show what it is. This is the challenge. It does not matter what discipline, be it it's fine arts or Samoan study. As this forum highlights, the need to revive our indigenous music or our traditional knowledge due to the dynamics, as already mentioned by Professor Maniel, in our so-called modern world. There is no question about Samoan talent. And one of them just walked in. Because we have seen so many musical productions by our fine arts, such as In the Heights, Once on the Island, and Boy Mangel with his twin gorilla, and awesome movie, Omaya Eafe, 1,000 Ropes. There's many more. So the question is, why is that as Samoans that we have the gift, we have the talent, the many blessings from God, still struggle to make it happen? Like I said before, I am not an expert of the field, but this is what I know and learned from Pule and Ueta. One, their passion for their music, the passion that drove Uncle Ueta to create an orchestra in Samoa, and the first ever art council choir by Uncle Pule. It is that passion we are able to say, two, their love for Samoa. Much of the works of these Tuiasosopo did anchor in their love for Samoa, and highlighting the fact music is an essence of being Samoan. Three, their love in sharing their gifts and talents to the students. When I see Sinas Palamo, a few times I've been to their church in Leone, I think of Uncle Ueta. When I see Julia Foifua conducting, I see Pulefa'asisina, because it's beautiful. Let me tell you a story, despite the fact that administration is here. A couple of years ago, when we used to have choir practice, one of the things with Pulefa'asisina is that he has a sharp ear. And you know, the old man move around while he's conducting. But he listened. So for people, like I said, I'm not into music, but I'm a professional lip singer because of Pule. I would stand there. Kudos to Pule. A couple of weeks ago, I saw on Facebook a post by one of Ueta's students by the name of Formative, who went to his teacher, mentor, Ueta Solomona, to say thank you. When our office fortunate to do a project with Whangatongo. One of the stories in here is about Pulefa'asisina, who took his students traveling and singing. Tomai Fatoe'ina is being passionate about your calling. Pulefa'asisina and Ueta Solomona are passionate Samoan elders of music who share their gifts, talents, and blessings from God to all of Samoa. The challenges that we are faced with can be resolved if you and I believe in our calling and love what we do and share to others about us being Samoan, like Uncle Pule and Uncle Ueta. A whai o le alofa, pese la ia, soifo.
And on that note, I would like Julia to come up here, right in the front, so she could lead us in one of Uncle Ueta's songs. So students listen to it. Ueta wrote about love songs. Everything about the environment. And Dr. Larry Purcell here is going to help out. Okay, come up, Julia, please. I know she's going to hate me for doing this, but she can stand. And some of you watching, they're going to watch this. Okay, sis, you could go over there and... Which one are we going to do? You tell her. Yeah, no for sao. Look, I let out to pese. Thank you. I remember the story about this song, and this is a story my mother told us. And my mother's family in Whangatongo are originally with the Poesi Church. So she said when they were in the mainland in California, special. People will come up and sing. And he remembers some of his brothers from Whangatongo went up and requested they're going to sing and the Palauni sing, oh, this is a nice, beautiful hymn. And you know how Pentecostal move around and sing and say, File mupe. And my mom said, oh, Palauni, that's a Samoan love song. In fact, feel like Holy Spirit, Uncle Ueta. Rosa is the eldest from Uncle Ueta Solomona's second marriage and his fourth child. She is currently the music and dance tutor at the National University of Samoa and is the founder of Le Papa Ingalangala Community Chamber Choir. She is the coordinator of the Young Musicians Program based in the university, created to provide lessons and a performance platform for aspiring musicians still in primary and secondary schools. She is a founding member of the youth choir of the Holy Trinity Anglican Cathedral in Suva, Fiji, and was a choral member of the prestigious Holy Trinity Cathedral Choir in Parnell, Auckland. She was also the first concert mistress of the USB Spring Orchestra in Fiji and the National Orchestra of Samoa from its beginning in 2006 till 2009. She is the coach and choreographer of the NUS Dance Theater's contemporary component and has put her music studies on hold at the University of Auckland due to her father's ill health. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Professor Solomona for her Folasanga.
Wow, it is very hard to not get emotional in this space right now. I've been in Pango, I've been here less than 24 hours, and from the moment I landed, I just felt this immense feeling of ainga. And so I'm just going to, not embarrass myself because I have makeup on. Just to expand a bit more on the word legacy, I am what my mother's people, Rutumans, call half caste, no place, no land. And I've been branded that for all my life. When I told my mom, I think I might like to get a malu when we move to Samoa, she's like, do that and get disowned by your Samoan family. My father's always had a special place in his heart for American Samoa. And in this trip, I see why. And one thing about legacy is that as a child of someone who's worked so hard, done to some extent almost a thankless job, and that's what I get with the two men whom we celebrate today. But I am very sure that these two men would not own their work. My father has always been the man who, after a big concert, after a successful, massive service, be it national service or regional, he'll always go home, drink a glass or a bottle of whiskey, and just thank God in his own way. And when we talk about legacy, I'm privileged. Yes, I'm honored and privileged to be his daughter. But legacy also means passing on that sense of thankfulness. And so I am very thankful today to be here, the 4th Ethnomusicology Forum. It's very hard not to be personal about this. When I left up here yesterday, that's when I told my father, Dad, I'm leaving. And he looked at me because we have a hospital bed at home, he looked up at me and he said, where? I said, to Pango. He looked at me, to Pango? And I said, yes, I'm going. What for? For work. And he said, and then I said, I'm going for 5 days. I recently went on a trip overseas for a month, and my mom messaged me every day, and she said, your father is calling for you. I said, well, when we talk about it, so back to legacy, my opportunities in my career, my budding career now, is a result of the legacy of those whom we call, our parents. Not just the work that they've done, but the continuous prayers they've had for us. And I'm deeply overwhelmed. I would not be standing here if it weren't for the legacy of him. And that all my life growing up. Was in New Zealand for 2 years, and out of the blue, I met a man from the Solomon Islands who was like no way related to us, not even related to anyone in Pango, in American Samoa. But he said he's never met my father, but his teacher was deeply impressed by his teachings. So for those of us who are educators and artists, I reflect on myself and said, that's the kind of person I want to be. That's the kind of impact that I would want to have on others. So I stand here today because of his legacy. So back to my script. So I want to thank the organizers of the forum for the invitation. Cookie Tuiasosopo and I have been communicating, and it's from the moment where I said, yes, I would like to come, even before I told my boss, before I told my mom, my real boss. I just knew that a chance like this is golden, and a chance, and Cookie was so right. Do this while he's still alive. Do this while fathers are still alive, and that is reflective of the flowers. Do not bring flowers to the grave. You bring flowers to me while I'm still alive. And today is a beautiful garland for the two men. So I'd like to thank, on behalf of the National University of Samoa, for this opportunity to be here. To be very honest, this is my first time presenting seriously. And I'd like to thank also Samoa Jazz Festival for always believing in myself and the organization that I represent. From the countless times where I told Peta, we cannot participate, I'm so sorry, our timing's not very good, she still believed in us, and I thought that is really true, that's a true friend. And I'd like to thank them and everyone who's involved. I'm sorry if I do not know your name or haven't met you, but I will. Okay, there's so much to be told about this man. However, it's impossible for me to share with you all aspects of his life. But I do hope that my sharing today will give you some insight to this, to Ueta and the makings of him, who has deep passion in music, but also has deep passion in music education. Education, very, very important. Even though I'm his daughter, and I must admit that preparation for today has not been easy, and mainly because of two things. You see, my father lived in a time where it's quite alien to a whole lot of us here today, where technology didn't dictate everything that we do in the morning, everything that we do during the day. Take 5 steps, take a selfie, record it, put it on Facebook. The same thing you do with your music. A lot of musicians today are fortunate to have these resources, and once you have a concert, you record it, you upload it into social media or onto YouTube, whatever, and it's kept. So that was one main problem that I faced, because I always told myself, oh yes, I'll definitely get to do some research on that and keep it, but it's a work in progress. So if you were to talk with him today and you discussed organizing a performance, a concert, he'd be very animated, and he'd say, you go get the camera and I'll buy the film. Dad, we don't do films. So he's quite old school. He's quite old-fashioned. Even working in the university, he would draw his 5-star for his 5 lines, 4 spaces, and that's like 11, 12, 15 pages of handwritten music. And the only thing that's computerized is what his secretary types on copyright, da 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 da. So he was in his own world. one main drawback for him was that a lot of his music is not recorded, or if they were recorded, it's quite hard to find. So it's my job to go and look for those. So it's available to all of us. And the second reason is he's too modest. Trying to talk to him about his works is just like, I don't know, it's very, very difficult. So I know modesty is another step to godliness, but in honesty, it's just annoying. He would not be the ideal research topic if he was the only interviewee. Unless you give him a few bottles, and then he'll start talking, but then he tells a story, a funny story, and the tongue was this long. He tells it 5 times more, and then the tongue was this long. I grew up witnessing countless researchers when he was in Fiji, and also when we moved to Samoa. I think undergrad students and master's students wanting to do some research on Samoan music. And the interviews were very, very brief, or be very silent. So he'd be okay to talk about music education or Pacific Island music, but if you were to ask him about him himself, it would be a bit hard. So I also like this opportunity to meet people here who have their stories of the man himself. And since I got here, I've been hearing stories from my own family, and last night we had a wonderful meet and greet, and just countless people have been telling me, oh, I knew your father, and so I'm very grateful if we could have like a coffee before I leave. Anyway, so growing up, Ueta Matautia Pene Solomona was born on the 15th of September back in 1935. To parents Matautia Pene Solomona from Papa Satau and Falesiu, and his mother Vaimoa Tuala of Leova'a. But he was up here born and raised. His mother would put him on the piano, well, so he says, put him on the piano before dawn. And he played piano, and he only understood the music on the piano sheet before he learned chores, how to do chores. So that was his life growing up when he was very young. He also followed his father and his uncles to countless choir rehearsals and to brass band rehearsals. So he was very exposed to that culture quite young. He also witnessed the formation of the CCJS church, and also witnessed the creation of its hymn book, whom his father was very instrumental in composing for. He attended Marist Brothers School, and it was there where he met a brother, I think, so a brother would be a teacher, who was quite fond of him, and it was through him that he learned how to play the violin, the basics of the violin. At the age of 6, he started to play hymns. So you can imagine, if he was 6, you think he was Chinese or something. It's like 6 years old, we were living life. So I think from formal school included St. Joseph's School. And then after that, he began to work at the Motutua Hospital. And from there, by then, he was already sought after pianist for different churches. So I think there was the Catholic Church, the Efakasa Church, and I believe also with the Poesi Church. But he also started playing for the Anglican All Saints Church in Leififi. It was about that time where there was an opportunity for one Samoan to win him or herself a chance to study in New York for music. So I remember probably 3-4 times he'd say, there were few people there who set the exam, but he's the one who topped it. So if we're looking at changing significant points in life that's changed his life, it would be that, the opportunity to go abroad and study. One is you can have the talent. You can have the talent, but you also need the opportunity. And with opportunity, you need to have hard work. And with hard work, you need to be very strong spiritually to endure the next, your next phase in life. So in America, Dad was there from 1959 till 1963. He didn't come home. He stayed there for 4 years. Ueta was the first Samoan to study at New York State University. We know this because the second Samoan to study there thought he was the first, until he got there, and then he saw his name on some plaque or something. So we were like, oh, okay. So Dad is an alumni of New York State University. For 4 years, he studied music through the Bachelor of Science, because then, in those times, in the 60s, there was no separate program for just music. So he was on a Fulbright scholarship and studied at the Fredonia campus. For any of you who would know or have been to that place, then you probably know. His main instrument was, of course, the piano. And he was quite an impressive pianist, and a very hardworking student, that he finished his 4-year program in 3 years. He did his final performance examination at the end of his 3rd year. And so for the remaining year, he took that opportunity to learn as much as he could. He had his own dreams. He personally wanted to be a professional organist and a FIFL. He wanted to study theology and he wanted to be a professional organist. But there was a chance for him to go on and study theology. However, he was not an American citizen, so he had to forego that opportunity. As far as his organist dreams went, that has been passed on to my little brother. So anyways, getting back to his remaining year, he took the opportunity to learn as many instruments as he could. He knew that as a son of Samoa, taking a scholarship abroad, he had to come back. And if you're going to come back, you're going to have to come back as resourceful as possible. So this time in America, he played almost every instrument in the orchestra, because he understood that if he's going to go back and he's going to teach everyone everything, not just piano. And because Samoa and American Samoa had a brass band culture, it made sense. You come back and you're going to improve the standard of performance and musicianship. You would have to be very useful. So therefore, he ensured that he learned all instruments in the orchestra, and even basic instruments like the recorder and the guitar. Whilst in university, he was attached to a nearby Anglican cathedral. And in this cathedral, he was a chorister, so he sang tenor. And it makes sense because when he wrote choral music and his tenor parts itself seemed like it was its own melody. For anyone who sang his music, his anthems, it sounded like, oh my gosh, it's a beautiful melody on its own. And it was so high, and you reflect on the composers, because he himself was a tenor. Now his soprano line was ridiculously high, thanks to his aunties whom he grew up in, who sang in the Proficiency church. Only when he thought he was dying did he tell me that I had a beautiful voice. Apart from that, he just raved on and on and on about the quality of sopranos that his aunties had. There's Luisa, and which is like, oh gee, thanks. Tell me that when you think you're going. So when I reflect on his written music, it's just like musicians, artists, we write, we paint, we compose music to reflect what we know and what we appreciate or what we want to talk about. So when I look at his music, I'm just like, man, who's gonna hold that high A flat for like 8 bars? You're gonna really cheat and stagger your breath and make sure you got like 10 sopranos in your. So that was him. So in the cathedral in New York, he wrote anthems and sung and settings mainly for the children's choir. But there were times where he wrote for both the children's choir and the main choir combined. He would fondly call this a privilege because not many composers get to hear the music practiced or performed, on the weekends. They wrote it during the week, he'd give it, they practiced, he'll hear it on the weekend. Unfortunately, he probably left all the copies in America. And hopefully one day someone might see his name and think that Solomona is from Samoa, not somewhere in Africa, and then send it to us. We all like to have copies. Now, Ueta's life as an educator formally began when he returned to Samoa after studying in America. And he was appointed the music specialist and advisor based at the Teachers Training College that was once a Malifa. And then now I think it's gradually part of the National University of Samoa. He formed the TTC choir together with the late Tuiasosopo Mariota, and they both worked together on the recordings of Samoan hymns and songs. Part of his time at TTC included school visitations and live broadcasts, mainly for high schools Avele, Fifi, and Samoa College. Samoa's music scene then included a developing secondary school festival where the repertoire included Handel and Mozart's choral works. Many a time I have the privilege of meeting I think the remaining students from the TTC choir, and again, I feel very overwhelmed with how they acknowledge his teachings in their life. Though not many of them are doing music professionally, but they still remember Italian concepts from the 60s and the 70s, and it's amazing because I wouldn't remember after class. The current head of the Department of Samoan Culture and Language at NUS, NUS's Center of Samoan Studies, Seuli Vaifo Aloli Temese, was a member of the TTC choir during Ueta's years. To this day, she still remembers her musical terms and names of notes on both treble and bass staff, including her course grade, her grades. She said, I got a 91 out of 100, so good on you. And I was just thinking, oh, did I ever get the Seuli is only one of the very few who remain from the TTC choir today. And she says a lot of her success in her life, academic life, was the discipline that she went through in the college and the appreciation of and the acknowledgement of music, how music played a role in her learning years. So that's actually really nice of her. Ueta then moved to take up the post of senior lecturer in music and expressive arts based at what used to be known the School of Humanities at the University of the South Pacific in Fiji, back in 1956 with his first wife, Joyce Banse from Malie, and my older 2 brothers, Christopher and Junior. This is another very important, significant stage in his life because he served there for 30 years. And for those 30 years, he says he had the privilege of serving the Pacific region. His extensive knowledge and passion for Pacific Island music enabled him to notate much of Pacific Island music that may have been lost to our generation today and the next generations to come. This is a tremendous achievement because we are able to celebrate and use for our own. We can celebrate these Pacific Island music and use it for our own creative works in our own contemporary age. One of the many books and resources that he had developed at USB has notated traditional and folk songs from Tonga, Fiji, the Cooks, Rotuma, Niue, Solomon Islands, and of course Samoa. Students from all over the region who took his courses were able to perform these songs and be enriched with the experience of learning another culture and being part of Pacifica as a whole. I remember playing in the USB string ensemble alongside Tongan brass band students and the Fiji police band. And it's quite an honor when you're just leaving primary school and in high school, and it's such a big thing to be seen on TV with a police band. And they were all trained, they all took courses, specially made up programs with my dad at the university. And apart from classical music, which was basically our basis, our foundation of our music training, our main repertoire at the university is our own music, is our own Pacific Island music. And we perform these to arrangements, hopefully not too isolated from its original form. Another significant part of his service to the Pacific was his many summer schools. He'd run workshops for around the Pacific for young and old people alike. One of the most humbling experiences I remember was when I was 7 years old, and I accompanied my brother and I accompanied my parents on their second Niuean summer school as part of the USB outreach program. And I learned recorder with 30 or so other Niuean kids under trees, because the center of the USB center, all the rooms were taken up by the ukulele, guitar, and keyboard students. He's done the same in Tonga, Tuvalu. Children's music education is very important to him, even as important as conducting mass choir performances or competitions and conducting orchestras. That is an integral part of Ueta's legacy. So, as a composer and a performer, even before he became an educator, Ueta had a talent and skill that is most talked about as a performer, arranger, conductor, and a composer. There were many events where his works have been performed either by himself or by musicians of all skill levels. So the young children who were just starting their musical journeys, they had the chance to be able to play, to perform, even alongside performers who've been playing for years. So children all the way to amateur choirs in primary and secondary school level, and some of the world's finest musicians have all played his music. In the Anglican Communion, his sacred music, both instrumental and choral, and he's written 2 song services, have been used all over the Diocese of Polynesia, so that includes Samoa, Tonga, and Fiji, and parts of New Zealand. And his music is used widely along New Zealand and in England. Ueta was the music director for the Holy Trinity Anglican Cathedral in Silva for almost 20 years. He would travel and give workshops to churches around Fiji, Tonga, and New Zealand, apart from composing for numerous services. The efforts of the Diocese of Polynesia to be independent from New Zealand was realized in 1990 when Polynesia hosted the General Synod meeting, where Polynesia wanted to table the motion of administering its own affairs. The opening service prior to the meeting was a full sung service composed and conducted by Ueta. The decision of the archbishops was made in that service during the service before the meeting, that Polynesia was indeed ready to stand on its own, not based on any other facilities, but on the quality of music in the high church. An anonymous worshipper who attended the historical service wrote in the cathedral's visitors book, "The music was a glimpse of heaven." It is through that today the Diocese of Polynesia stands on its own 2 feet. Ueta has always sought to contextualize his music with his proud Pacifica identity. There is a painting dedicated to Ueta by a USB-based Tongan artist named Lingikongi Vakauta, depicting a man with silver hair, bare chest, wearing a siapo, wearing ulafala and blowing a conch. That is a real-life image that many people have of him, because he proudly adorned himself with all that when he would conduct graduations at USB. So some academics would sit down and afterwards they would talk with my mom and be like, "Yeah, I turned around to watch the choir because it's just amazing." Turned around and all they saw was his stomach. His stomach and just the glistening of the oil on him and the ulafala. And when he conducted, he danced. And one thing that my father always told us as performers, whether you sing or you play, if you're going to play Pacific Island music, you play so that people can dance. And that he said, that's the difference between us and with the Palauni audience, is that when your Pacific Islanders respond to you, they stand up and they dance. That's always been his belief. And I witnessed one time we had the debut performance of the USB string orchestra back in 2004, I think. And the late Alan Alo, he attended, the choreographer. He attended and he sat right in the front. And at the end, our Taulunga piece was Mariota Nifa, and he stood up and he danced. And that it hit me, it's like, that's it. When we talk about identity in our own music, the relationship between performer and our audience is exactly that. Yeah. Anyways, find my way back here. Oh yes, and the second one that was shared with me was one USB graduation. The main piece for the occasion was a Cook Island song called Eno Manea, and I think it talks about the beauty of the land. When the choir stood up to sing and sang, they did. The highlight wasn't so much with the choir, but with the response from the Chancellor of USB, who happened to be the Prime Minister of Cook Islands. So he stood up to dance, and that is Pacific Way. There are 3 Pacifica instruments that he would incorporate a lot in his music, and there would be the lali or the pate, the conch shell, and the nose flute. He would start his Pacific Island concerts or Pacific Island repertoire by serenading the audience with the nose flute. So we would have, for example, the string ensemble on stage ready. He'd walk in and everyone would clap, but he'd sit down and he'd play the nose flute. And for many people my generation, I'm not going to speak for everyone in my generation, that's not something that you see often. And so a lot of his anthems would have the conch and the lali or the pate. Some of his well-known anthems were written for Te Wila festival choir competitions, or massive church celebrations in Samoa, Fiji, and abroad, and as well as national and regional events like Fiji's silver celebrations of independence. And I believe in 1981, he wrote an anthem for the South Pacific Games opening ceremony. In 2003, I played alongside the Fiji Police Band again, who accompanied the winning choir of the Fiji Methodist Choir competition. And my part was I had like 4 stands. My part was written for 3 different pitched conch shells. So it's going from a big conch shell, which I was okay blowing, but then you had to switch to the small one, and then, oh, my cheeks were getting a workout. I believe it's because Dad had upset Samoa with something, so American Samoa came in and took the gold. So he was very happy. Politics and country didn't deter him. He just said, American Samoa is Samoa, the same culture. For it to be performed by Samoans is amazing itself. So I believe that probably would have been the first Samoan opera, and I would love to meet anyone here who has maybe been part of the production. That'll be wonderful for me to meet you. He also was instrumental in the Samoan Green Hymn Book, together with the late Reverend Bavai Toma. And much to apart from his work, he loved the church. He loved to be of service to God. And every time he wrote a mass or he wrote an anthem, he always dedicated to God. When we talk about legacy, I think the last point story I'd like to share with you in terms of legacy, it's not so much about whether the man has come, lived, died, and that's it. His legacy will be, if you leave something on earth that is good and will last, that is true legacy. So today my parents founded a community program that used to be under the National Orchestra of Samoa, but is now found a home at the National University. And his belief and his legacy in music education still thrives today. We don't have many students, but to continue investing in a child's life has always been his priority. And that is called the Young Musicians Program, where young children from primary and high school, because music is not strong as I would hope it would be in an education system, that was not going to stop us from starting. And he founded that together with my mom, who is Rutuman from Samoa. Special thank you to Chairman Kuki Tuiasosopo for the invitation. It's only someone who, like him, where we share common circumstances, would ensure that something like this happens, not so much for us and for our fathers, but for you students, for all the wonderful people that I've met and I'm going to meet who have stories to share. And I just like to continue giving thanks. I like to give thanks to God, who made these two men who continue to inspire each and every one of us. And from my university, NUS, and to your college, I'd say thank you for Exia, Vinaka Vakalevu, and Fafatai.
And the Arts Council will get the music fresh sheet of music by Tuiasosopo. And it's amazing, Rosa was saying something about the keys. Well, my mother grew up in the Poesi Church, and I'm talking about legacy, experience. Even our family in Pango, 1/3 of them go to the Poesi Church. And if you are from the Proficiency Church, the keys are very high. It's just amazing, and this is what is so profound about the music that these old, especially the Proficiency family, written. And no matter how, sometimes people come in church, smaller congregation, the old ladies could still hit those notes. It's amazing because the choir we have in Puapua was trained by Uncle Ueta. And this is Kaiva Malepeai. He has one or two hymns in the hymn, Proficiency hymnal book. And trying to teach Pentecostal to sing CCJS music, God, it's ever since that my mom didn't sing. If you grew up in that setting and in that church, even in Apia, there is something about the music that these and sometimes it's, why are they playing it? It's either A flat, B flat, D, and it still continues today. And one time, when Flo is one of the composers for the Proficiency Church, and then when the Catholic singers say, try the Proficiency music. There's something natural about the people who grew up in the, even from these families who go to this church. Even today, all the old ladies, they memorize it, they know their music, and they memorize it. That's legacy. Our next speaker is Sina Solomona Tilo. Her love of church music began at an early age, growing up in CCJS Wangatongo, where her parents pastored for 12 years. She credits her passion for worship music to two influential music giants of Samoa, her uncles Ueta Solomona, as her piano teacher at age 9, and learning to sing properly and be disciplined in praise by a Fionga in the Pulefa'asisina, Palauni Tuiasosopo in Sunday school, and Pese. She attended college and postgraduate off-island, and all those times she played for the choirs when she was asked, more than 10 years. In 1997 to 2011, she lived and worked in Washington, D.C., where she would make the drive to New York just to worship with the Brooklyn Tabernacle Choir, whom she regards as a mixed culture group whose vocals are like us Samoans. They love to worship. For the last 5 years, she came home. She is still the organist for her Leone Siona Choir. Her greatest concern is, listen, very important, our people seem to be singing competitively, performing for an audience, a congregation. Church music is only for the praise of an audience of God. Alemuna taulanga pese eleai seaunga. E whaaofu e la e lo tatua tua I viinga. Malo whaaloa lava ia o te wala o tua I le whaltua ia Sina Solomona Tilo Molana Fulasanga.
O umana whaatula watu le fongo le aso. Tu sai mo le tatou whaatasinga. Le le tu o atua I la sa upu. Ai o le a o tala no saoloa I lo'u wala au lia. Rosa, in 2 weeks and 3 days, I'll be 56. But just hearing you and sitting here, listening to you, makes me think back to when I was that 9-year-old girl. The book of Job, chapter 12, verse 12, says, wisdom is with aged men, with long life is understanding. Psalm 92, verse 14, they will still yield fruit in old age. They shall be full of sap and very green. These scripture verses depicts the person of Ueta Matautia Pene Solomona e na fionga Pulefa'asisina Tuiasosopo. O tusi a yopu mta upes fulua foi upes fulua. O lo iai le poto ie o toe ina. O le wha leva fo i o aso e iai le wha utauta. Mai le lau tusi a salamo i was fulua foi upes fulfa. A o ina uli sina, la tau te fua mai pia lava, e malolosi, ma lau laola i la tau. E le umale anganga whaaftai lau sunga, kuki motu Tuiasopo whapele mamalu, o i la tau na tu whaatisia le nei, wha moe moe. Tā ua a wā alo ma whanau o le atinu. Oe o lo o nau i le soifuanga, whaapese, the music life, po ole o langa, ole pese. A life of singing. E whamaulalo ai lo nei tangata whaatau waa, male vai vai. O se tangata i le ato atua i na wamwhai o na wala uina, i le nei a vanoa tā ua ma le ilonga. Ona o so uilo i ti lava, o i la ua nei, e autu wai le nei whaatasinga. I am grateful to the Lord God that these precious gifts, these treasures of our Samoan islands, our Samoan people, birthed in the depths of our vibrant existence, are still with us on this earth, though in their 80s, but whose musical genius impacts all of us, perpetuating throughout generations and long after we leave this earth. Let me first begin with my one and only piano teacher, someone dear to me, Ueta Matautia Pene Solomona. I was only 9 years old. It was 1970, and my parents were pastoring the Congregational Church of Jesus in Samoa, CCJS in Whangatonga. Leo lo'o whaiwhiawai nei. I can't bring myself to keep saying o toe ina ia whamau, because he was my brother at that time. I was 9 and I believe he was 17. But I'm proud of the man that he's become and still leading our church. And all of you who are here, I'm so happy to see Welese and Dr. Tapa'au, who I'm still trying to bring to our Siona choir in Leone. And my dear friend, my sister's very close friend, Dr. Ruth Matangi Tofinga. We all grew up in Whangatonga and we all know the legacy of Uncle Brownie. But let me just share with you my beautiful memories of Uncle Ueta. The Ekalesia in Whangatonga decided with the whaiwhiau, o mana o mia lava o na iei ni whanau e luata piano. So the vision was, o le ami mai le whaiao ngā piano, o Ueta mai a pia. Every weekend, e te tongi el matu e ka le sia le pasese o le whaiao ngā, e o mai ai Whangatonga, e a mata le matu wa o ngā ta piano. Heidi, Council Fuimono, another one of Uncle Brownie's and Uncle Ueta's dear daughters. You know, with Saula Ueta, he'd arrive like Friday afternoon or late Friday afternoon. He'd have the Ongata piano that evening, all day Saturday. Sunday, maybe he'll freshen up some of the Vangale, Leia, Totape, or Julia, Mamaipa, na tu malanga leo ia I le afiafi le sa. O le tonu la, e tofu le ainga ma le tamaititi, e tā piano. And I don't know, folks, if anyone else in our time today has that kind of vision. Ina ia tutusa uma whanau le ekalesia, o na fsoasoani iai se a o ngā tā piano. because the Whaifeau had all of these children, my sister Elisabetta Kunimaipa, Solomona Ainga Maua, the late Maipa, she was the chosen one. She was the one that played the piano with Julia and Malia, Aile Laumea, Asalele, Maene. O la tau nasa amatale matawa o ngata piano. A o a Rosa. I saw the pride in my dad whenever Ueta would come and, yeah, maipa, ta mai piano. And my sister, this is my sister who was born in Papua New Guinea when my parents were missionaries. So not only was my dad, she was so endeared to my father as their o le la fafine po la whanaule o ia mameki tai o afua. Pe e pele le vaenga ia o no whanau ia tala le. So when she became the new pianist in our family, I yearned for that approval. I yearned for that pride that my dad would have of me to play the piano. Every morning, a ola o matua, mamaipa, mameki, msi ulangi, e olfon talo lea, e fatanga moea ue le fialo olfon talo. Because I would come out to our pump organ, e amata na tata le tusi musika le amaipa na maya Ueta. I would try to learn on my own because I wanted my father to be proud of me. So one of those weekends, na Samoa Ueta, o le lavala ia e alu le fono talo. But he heard me trying to play, and he couldn't believe that I was so advanced in learning the first book. Mantua Julia, you and Maipa were in the second book when I started the first book. Ya lakwa ukipi orua. Ueta was so impressed with this yearning in me. Yes, Professor Pati, at 9 years old, I wanted so much to learn. And he asked my father and the leaders of our congregation, so on our first recital, Christmas 1970, now Ruth, Titiali'i, Reverend Titiali'i, I remember it well. They were the orchestra, Rosa. Ole fa'aili pu mai fale asao. This was the first time na olave Ueta mato pese Christmasi, Tama Maria, Lepo Paia. That was all his work. But to hear the brass band play this and our choir singing it, I said to my dad, if you kaya ul piano, for my shokama, ikele ikai kaya. But you know what? I'm just encouraging you, the music students here at the community college, sky's the limit. Sky's the limit. I can tell you now, because as a 9-year-old then, who wasn't even slated to be one of the students, I got the opportunity because I wanted it. And you too, just what the speakers have said, but this is one of my dear friends, Oneya me uma o sotainga whanau o whaifeau. E ye teimi if sotai me lele, e ye foi teimi if sotai me lelele. A oneila wo fia lava, I le sauna mai o kenasa, o shona tamana, na soani ia teia. Rosa touched on some of the great works that her father penned, composed for Samoa. My earliest memories know about the praise and worship and even the music that we have. E sa'oailea saunoangan whainei, e pese Lord Samoa, if ia siva fua le au mai moa, just to hear us sing. Ai o te whamaulalo atu. O au, o paulava lea o se tamaititi po teintiti a onga i a Palauni Tuiasosopo e leanga le leo. O au e pito sili na leanga lo leo from anyone that Uncle Brownie had ever trained. You know, the times e whaia o ngā pese, e mana oto i ina e ave I lunga le whai Samoa lea I lunga le mauta o li'i, maunga o li'i I utu lei, e whaia ia o ngā pese le Arts Council, ia, e ko a ngā lala au kamaikai Rose Vaughn, Diana, Gle Lope ngai Dr. Tofina, o te loa Juliana, au, e le taitai o fialu because o au e nofo I luma, I have a very loud alto I ina o Uncle Brownie, le wo o toi nei lau whamatalanga. For any of you who knew him in his youth, Savali Maya Kapali. Pa kele lo leo sina, kele lo keu lo pa kele lo leo. Ano mo kua. And then I go sit in the back, and even when I sit in the back because I'm so mad I got beaten up in front of everybody, I'd sing even louder. I sing le ai la ngonga ku lo leo pa, and then he would kuli me. Alu nei alu fa. So from the governor's house, if you can picture that, I would walk home so happy that I don't have to stay there on my business. But in closing, I just wanted to add about our Uncle Brownie. He did not discriminate in his discipline. He screamed at every one of us and beat every one of us when need be. But that was the biblical ways that he always followed. And he reminded me, Proverbs 23:13, withhold not correction from the child, for if thou beatest him with the rod, he shall not die. Awanita o fiele o inga I tama. Awa afai te sasa ia te ia se la au. Ile o ti ai. Amen. Uncle Brownie believed in perfection. There was no room for mistakes in singing, dancing, and in everything that we did. We were the best behaved children of American Samoa, the CCJS Whangatongo kids. Rehearsals, no giggling, no chewing gum, nothing. And I think if I can make the comparison today, he's not as maybe mean or forceful, but he's just as disciplined. I understand that Brother Pati Pati of Samoana is like that. Pati, can you come to Siona and help my choir, please? And lastly, before Molly took Uncle Brownie up, Lena Vatoi Nealto Ina, Lawa no Foya Fafo. Now, Walwatu Falmai Mo Fayatuai, Dad, can you come train my choir? And he says, Kwa levang a failo o Proficiency, hello Leleya. O te loa mele langa lo ol fai fe au ia sepi ma leone e na watu lau fai pese vaenga leo o Dr. Tofinga I malio mato Auntie Alice. O kasi au fai pese a whankongo. Asinka mai au fai pese a Siona. Ia, ai wa watu nei lo tusi vala au lia e kuki. My cuz Valaulia oi, because you are the music director of the great Siona Leone Choir. O Ufayatu Kuki, Matuai Cecil, Tangata Le au mai lau Valaulia. For all the choir masters, the choir teachers, the voice teachers, and afai fo ye se siol mato o fai pese I Siona o I o te loela tu neia ta pa au ka u ol mako fai fe au mal Sina put you guys on blast. Ovi inga o le tua. As I said, It's for an audience of one. And I learned that from Ueta, and I learned that from Uncle Brownie. I was only 10 years old when I started playing the piano for our CCJS church. And I remembered, Ueta would softly say, Sina, awale ta oe mimita, awale ta oe fa'alialia, ta oe e vi iai leali. Uncle Brownie, la kumu lau fai pese, va ai mai leo alu lau ka, sometimes, wa e fia show kele was a se ai ngokai ka. La fai le loku la ngofo mai shau kamai, he'll come up, slap my face, kafale, and then he'll go and sit down. And those are lessons I learned because now that I'm old enough to be a grandmother, na olo fia watu e fasi, kangaka ilo o fai pesi le faianga, but I know o le ngā luenga e fai e le nganga paia. The many times o te le fia ai, I le toa anga atu o tangata, a so lua, so tofia, so toa nai, le ai nisi o atu I pese, a e o le aso sa vali atu, ma se vai pa o malako pulou, malako ofu I ila, a o le prelude mai lau piano. I always think of my Uncle Ueta, my Uncle Brownie, who are success stories in the music world, not just in Samoa, in the world. The old man would say to me quietly, Sina, ta e vi iai leli, awole ta fa'alialia, awole ta e fia show, I e lua I oe su e nio vi inga. But Uncle Brownie, before he left, had said to me, Sina, ono sa'i le ngā luenga le atua. E le o se ngā luenga su e ai so vi inga. Ai a maua ni a nganga moia. Ono Yesu. Amen.
Yeah, alwatu lima toina yetse oe. I remember one time we lined up to go sing. If you play, pekaalo, if el cuerpo yo forina que le saudum on the stage. Uncle has his own methods of training vocals. Yes, to low lava. Take the 4 fingers. Is it the 3 fingers, right, Diana? And then you do it, right, Julia? 3 or 4? 3. And I remember one time, and this was his vision, to go out to all the and haul over the upright piano and try to teach all the backward choirs, the hymnal, the Republic, the Battle Hymn of the Republic. So Auntie Salila will play, and we'll go to Siona back in the days, Wakwai Uma Kinga, Malai Loa, and most of these people, Mamalamat Koinga, Olonga Oke Malisawa. He tried to change that. And when I came back from college and oh my God, Arts Council, that was the discipline. Developing the technique, there was breathing exercises. So you go, sit up, there's no talking. The opera that they were talking about is true, and I really wanted to look, hopefully, but I've seen it on TV. I remember in 2007 when we were ready with Danny to take our students to the San Francisco Conservatory, he pulled me aside at Aveina's store and said, Poe, San Francisco, but let me tell you something. And I don't know if Julia will mention it. A lot of people didn't know that I was chosen to study voice there. Yeah. I said, you know what? I wish I had a chance, but good luck to you and your students. But this was the school. When Malfoy Lesunga Daning Makoi or the conservatory, this is like the Juilliards of the West Coast. And to hear that from him, I was truly humbled, because he said the professor from that school wanted me to go there. What a story. What a story. But it's befitting now, because I wanted some, and this was someone who's very close to Uncle Brownie. Of the way he has worked with a lot of people. But I know Julia kapali for ya uncle pe awa for ya fai ngai lunga piano ma okengia Julia longa leo pe. But it's befitting that she's going to get this closure before we get to Moyo. Salilo Julia Levy Foifua is a social worker by profession. She's currently working with families of fallen soldiers at the Army Reserve Center. 30 years as a veteran with the veteran employee with the Department of Social Services, a graduate of Fiailoa Elementary and Punahou School, 1976. Also of UH Manoa with a master's degree in social working in 2008, or as a social worker rather. Choral instructor and music conductor at again CCJS Wamatongo. She's wife of Vaipuna Foifua Jr. and mom to 4 of her own, plus children of her siblings and the family. Currently, she's finishing her doctorate as a counseling psychologist with Arcasy University. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome on stage Julia Levy Salila Foifua.
I'd like to, in advance, apologize if there will be repetition of what you may have already heard, because we are talking about the same 2 people. Robert Woody in 1999 wrote that a musician, whether composing, arranging, or performing, is a blend of genetic and biological endowment with social and emotional reinforcers received in life experiences. Ai le alu loa lo va o te fia whawheiloa i atu o lo i nei ia le sunga le toiina ia aselele o le o lo whaululu ai le ni e kalesia o lo o ngalue ai ma vea ia o whai maa auna i le vaenga le musika. How appropriate that he is here, because much of the things that you will hear about Ueta and Palauni all transpired or grounded and seeded from the CCJS Church, in which Reverend Elder and Dr. Aslele is the chair overall of CCJS abroad, here in Samoa and abroad, as well as the Reverend Elder for Whangatongo and Tutuila alone. The book of Ephesians, chapter 1, 12 and 14, talks about those who have been chosen for the praise of his glory. Professor and music composer Ueta Solomona is a chosen servant for the praise of God's glory. I find it ironic that this forum has chosen the 2 people I can describe as growing up like brothers from different mothers. Our home was home for him and our beautiful and oh so crazy late wife, or Auntie Joyce. It's been too long since I've last seen your dad, Rosa, and I pray for an opportunity to be able to hug him again while I can still give him flowers now. I remember Ueta as a man of few words, not a very talkative or social person, but he was a listener.
I think that was one of the reasons I was most scared of him growing up. Uncle Ueta's visits to Pongo were hardly for holidays and vacations. It was all work for the church, mostly with music. Hardly working, very serious about his calling. The influence of Ueta Solomona in the Congregational Church of Jesus in Samoa and abroad was evident in many prestigious musical pieces. As Sina had mentioned, Pemoni Ea Uatoe Tuiasosopo was written for our radio broadcasting Easter service in 1970. The late Reverend Siulangi Solomona officiated the service, and this song was in support of his sermon. The song started out with a doubtful inquiry of faith, asking if there was any truth to the rising of our Lord Savior. It was written as a lament piece for a Christian's perspective of what happened after his body was brought down from the cross and taken to the burial grounds of Joseph. It was written in a response style. The men asked in unison, the women responded in unison, and then the voices of soprano, alto, tenors, and bass, or the SATB, carried out the event in detail. The tenor voice soloist was Uncle Brownie. He's better known today as High Chief Pulefa'asisina. Secretly, I think Ueta wrote this song on purpose for him. They're buddy-buddy stuff, but he did an excellent job in soloing that. One of his signature commitments I can recall was his work with the Teachers Training College and the Department of Education in Western Samoa, as Rosa had touched on. The singing recordings of the Teachers Training, or TTC program, was his work. And in Fiji in 1972, when Uncle Brownie took the delegation from American Samoa, and Ueta was there with the delegation of Samoa, there was a division between the two Samoas for some reason, but it was the music that brought us all together, and that was a beautiful thing to witness. In 1987, the Whangatonga CCJS Choir traveled to Western Samoa by invitation from Ueta Solomona to participate in a mass choir production commemorating the Silver Jubilee of the independent state of Samoa. It was the first mass combined choir of multiple denominations throughout Samoa. American Samoa was represented by the American Samoa Community College at that time and our CCJS Whangatonga Choir. It was at this event that I watched the famous PIC choir from New Zealand for the very first time. No compare. High Chief Pulefa'asisina Palauni Tuiasosopo can be described as our Apostle Paul, who placed high emphasis on teaching and instructing in the name of the Lord. In giving thanks to God, Palauni proclaims his love through music. This servant of God was a father, a teacher, a coach, and a mentor in my life. Following the sudden death of my beloved father, Eveni Afele Levi, in November 1969, Uncle Brownie took on an additional role of father to us, the children of his eldest, late Salilo Kuki Tuiasosopo Levi. Having 12 children of his own, he became father to my siblings and I up to now. I am proud and grateful to our Heavenly Father for the opportunity to celebrate with him and our family not too long ago 80 years of good life gifted to him by God. Returning as a college graduate in the early 1960s, Uncle Brownie continued to serve in the church as the choir director. He was a tough teacher, a tough coach, because of his passion for excellence in music performance and the professionalism of music sound. When it came to music in the church and preserving Samoan folk music and culture, it was serious business. His drive to produce the best of sounds to worship and praise the Lord was not invested only in the CCJS church choirs, but also in other denominations island-wide whenever they requested. Preserving our Samoan culture through performing arts and many more is of great value and importance in his life. It is my belief he was the chosen one for the mission of establishing the America Samoa Arts Council troupe in 1972. While there were a lot of hearts, believers, and supporters of his mission to put this dream together, he was blessed with a vision, and God instructed him how to coordinate the mission that made it a reality. The first official travel was in 1972 when the group traveled to Fiji to participate in the first South Pacific Festival of Arts. Representing American Samoa, the group traveled throughout the Pacific to Tonga, Tahiti, Cook Islands, Hawaii, and the United States West Coast. The production grew over the years to be composed of the performing arts, the crafted arts, and the exhibition of cultural practices. This production brought a dose of this production brought a dose of culture to our Samoan people living outside of Samoa, and that brought pride to their hearts. The repertoire of secular songs sung concert style by the group included Samo Sila Sila, File Mupe o Selupe, as we sung this morning, Watasi ai lasi, and one of my favorites, Oi si o rosai, la rosa matai, ele mafanga, loina u. Isn't that beautiful? Maybe that's why he named you Rosa. There must be some significance there. Anyways, he was instrumental in notating those folk songs that you would normally hear played on the ukulele, but for us, we had to teach it, or we were taught the 4 parts in order to produce it as a concert pieces. One highlighted successful outcome for the troupe was the debut of the opera, as spoken of already, titled Yefata Malona Fine. To my understanding, of course, this was the first Samoan opera. All the Samoan lyrics, based on the story as told in the Bible, were utilized, but the music was written by Ueta Solomona. The choral courses complemented the 4-part harmony of the SATB, which was natural for Samoans. And from the perspective of a choral member, it was awesome singing. And the unique part about it all, it was just so emotional. Even for us who played the parts, no dried eyes. If you had a dry eye, you'd be smacked around by Uncle Brownie. Earlier in the 1980s, it's mentioned in his bibliography passed out, there was a conference sponsored by the South Pacific Commission here in American Samoa. And one of the tasks that Mr. Tuiasosopo took on was committing our choir to sing all 23 or so national anthems in their language. And not only was it for the Whangatonga choir, but it then became the island-wide massive choir. So what we did was, Flo and I would take a recording of the music, do research on what the words were, then Flo would write it on her piano if there was no time. Otherwise, Ueta Solomona was, with the notes, with time he had, already sent over some music, and so we were just going around the whole island teaching him. And if any of you were able to witness that, that was some awesome singing island-wide of national anthems. And it was a learning experience. I didn't know those anthems before that. So kudos for Mr. Tuiasosopo. It's a lot of work for us, but it was really a successful production for the island-wide. I refer to it as the dual dynamics. Atono to loto ma fautanga fatuina na foa ile tua moana au no Palauni po le afiunga Pulefa'asisina ma le sunga ya Ueta o ana o loa ma me alo fataua mo le soifua au na o langa tangata e ala I pese ma vi inga. I am proud to acknowledge the wonderful gifts blessed upon the dynamic duo of Ueta and Palauni. The dual dynamic complement each other in their teaching style. Both can also do some serious damage to your piece. If you are a student and you are not paying attention, oya way. Ueta did not use the force that Uncle Brownie would, but his stare alone would just do the job. So that silence is golden. They were both disciplinarians. One can kill your ego softly with his tone and stare, that would be Uncle Ueta, and while the other does not hold back the old-fashioned smacking for not listening or being disruptive, and guess who that is? But he does it mostly with us, his blood. Underneath their seemingly mean streak is their desire for discipline and aim for perfection and excellence. Another gift was they were trainer of trainers. Their work with music not only credited the CCJS Church, but also their professional style of making sweet spiritual music extended into other church denominations whenever they were invited. Their music trainings have produced many music instructors now serving the Lord in various churches and denominations. You've all heard Sina's campaign this morning, Alofanis Yuso, Olomo Miel Soswani. It's not so much Leone, but it's really the job she has to do, it's hard task. Then there's Florence Mawala Went. She's the daughter of the late Reverend Elder Mawala Watasanarivi Went of Malie, and Sustina Schuster Mawala Vapia. Flo was taught piano by her father, Reverend Mawala. If I may share a short story, there's a success story about Flo and Uncle Palauni and Uncle Ueta. In our upbringing at the CCJS Church, Flo was pushed by her father to play the piano if none of the other pianists were available. Palauni was our choir director for the youth choir, and often our youth choir was invited to perform music for special government functions. One day during practice, Flo was instructed, or told by Palauni, without a choice, to learn how to play the battle hymn of the Republic. And for those of you who play the piano, and is limited like me, that is like having to climb Mount Everest with slippers. Well, Palauni was like E.F. Hutton. When he speaks to you, Flo did not utter a word. And so instead, she just nodded in response. After practice, she told us that she was really scared. And Lord and behold, homegirl did it in a matter of days. She came back to the rehearsals and she played it without flaws. That was a wow moment for us all. No yelling from the teacher, but it was a milestone accomplishment for Flo. After that, Palauni kept his drive and pushed her to play the church salamos. And so forth, with the support of Ueta. Ueta also recognized her talent. From then on, Flo became the official pianist and organist of our church youth choir, and she was also the official pianist and organist for the Arts Council choir. Well, my story is that as young people, we were taught basics of music theory, sight reading, vocal trainings, by Ueta mostly. At that time, Uncle Brownie was really busy with work or away. And those with the talent continued, as you recognize. I don't play piano like Sina does. She's still advanced. But for me, it was different. Uncle Pule attended and graduated high school in Honolulu. Punahou School, he graduated in 1956. At his insistence to my mother, I was to attend and graduated from Punahou, and then I graduated in 1976. It's one of those no choice. Just go take the exam, now get on the airplane, I'm gonna go take you to school. My world of academics was challenging being there from Samoa and in this highfalutin high school. I struggled at first, however, I was comforted to have been recommended for the advanced choir that traveled and performed outside of school campuses because of my musical abilities I came with, that all started back at Ueta Solomona music school. And then, of course, the continued discipline of staying with the church choir. So young people, go sing in your church choir. It will take you far. And, you know, just sidetracking here, when we used to do the government programs for Christmas, hellacious acreage, some of those adults just cannot sing for beans. I would tell them, hey, go sing in your church choir. They expect us to teach them miracles in the 2 weeks we had to prepare for them. Oh, teach me how to sing. Oh, teach me how to sing. Go to church and sit in your church choir, and then that's where you will learn how to sing. So I gained academic accomplishment and a wealth more of music trainings in choral music, all because I was sent away at the vision of this man. I returned to Samoa in 1981 and shadowed him conducting rehearsals with Flo at the piano for the Arts Council Troop Choir. We conducted vocal trainings, we taught the music, all to ready for him to do his conducting pieces. Cookie? Is Cookie here? Anyways, if we could just, if you humor me to be able to see this clipping, and you will see the works of Palauni Tuiasosopo. This was a performance in 1984 that we had taken to Tahiti.
Ai avea ia usui ole komiti prokalama taula manui tonu twil manu e va twice mato fakta kele bala amai male mali mai tu samale bala alfa waro komiti mal malo ina yo to tanga mai moa ese prokalama o saunia e o to walo ma o to fanau ina ia tamu fai whamatala le fatu o le tūmalanga I whanua wha Samoa. Ia tunuu e le mana malama le ngana ka a wha Samoa. O le fuafuina fo i prokalama le nei pe ona o tausi le fia I ona mo te ngā ma matata ese o mato tamu fai tu fatasi ina ia tasi seata na fai ona faali atu ya ila to ele mal malama le tato ngana e tusa male fatu le tato ngano e yaila nisi o vai na tele o le tato tuma na fanua Pato tamu fai fatino atu il Pene e soani ile mata faioi o afofo ina ile nei proclama ma o fili ai alo ma fanao le tunu la to ti fatino ina fafo le proclama nei ele iai se temi tasi ato ai ona fatino e tono le tunu ona o le proclama fu le lei mo fale fatte nei fai prokalama I faf ya petai lo mato taf la mato tam fai tuiase ko le anse mea le am fai ona mato abatu ina ia famaliaina lo to finangalo ma se io to tanta nai foi a mese matua a mese foi le tupulanga e se mevo mato mo fai ona tu fatas Saufai, or the investiture of a chief in a village, is an occasion that is very big in the minds of the family members. It is big because in Samoa, a member of a Samoan family has a personal interest in that family. The lineal descendancy of the Samoan people is traced bilaterally through a mother and the father. In Samoan culture, an individual who has very little blood in a Samoan family has an opportunity to participate as a bona fide member of that family. And because the ancestry is traced both through the mother and the father, the roots of a Samoan are much more roots of a tree. So that a Samoan is a family in his father's side, but also is a family in his mother's side. Tonight, at the Saufai, we will bring to you the presentation from the Paolo. The Paolo is the mother's side, in this case, of the Saufai, of the title investiture. There are basic things that are presented, and after that, and beyond that, the family brings all the accoutrements and the decorations to make that family alive in the sense of being and in the relationship to another family. And therein lies the value of the individual in Samoan culture. It is a culture that recognizes the value of the individual and the value of that individual in the family. Ladies and gentlemen, we bring to you a program that we hope will give you a bird's eye view of the culture of the Samoan people. The family is preparing